Learn the basics, how to climb, jump, and vault. If it's your first time playing, you're gonna need it. Hold the left trigger to climb up stuff when approaching a wall. Try climbing up low, medium, and high walls. Alright, sweet, that was cool. Tap the right trigger to jump. Try jumping over a wall. Timing and foot placement are everything with that one. Sick. A cat pass is one of the most basic vaults. Hold the right trigger and flick up. Sick. There are other vaults you still need to try. Similar to a cat pass. Nice one. Okay, cool. That's everything. You're ready now.
Okay. Stick some lo-fi on. Cool. Let's crack on. Hey, Clown. Hey, Zaha does. How's everyone doing today, man? Hope everyone was good. Yeah, we're doing Descents today. My camera's on a really high. I don't know if you can tell. It was really high FPS. It seems a refresh rate or something. I got a new one, a new webcam. It should be 1080p, so you can see all my gorgeous features. No, quite the opposite. Yeah, today we're gonna clean some stuff up and we're gonna do Descents. See if we can get that back in. Get that in, get that working. Yeah, and go from there. So that's the plan of action. Let's do that. Let's do it. Let's not mess around. Let's add Descents. First thing I'm gonna do, I want to re-enable this trace stuff so we can see what ledges and stuff. The code we have currently is picking up. Interesting. I just bought the pre. I'm glad you know how many pre's there are. Yeah, it seems, yeah, it's a little bit buggy, but we're working on that now. We're trying to iron out everything. But again, as we said, we're really trying to do something new and unique in terms of parkour. So there's going to be bugs along the way. But yeah, thank you so much for joining the journey. Again, like, look at the code. If you have any ideas, any feedback, anything you want to chat about the game, ask me questions. I'm all ears. I'll answer any and all your questions. If I don't know it, I'll tell you I don't know it. If I know it, I'll try and answer. Other than that, yeah, I'll just be talking through what I'm doing, basically. We've done like 200 of these. The general gist, I'll just kind of chat a bit or whatever. I'll kind of talk through my thought process so you understand what I'm doing, why I'm doing it. Yeah, that's generally the gist of it. Yeah, what I'm doing here basically is I'm going to debug stuff. So with descent, so we have like a bit of a robust fine ledge for the climb ups, right? So for the descents, however, it's a little bit different because so the way I want to handle descents are similar to how I do the climbing. It's gonna pick the best animation based on what your character's doing when it wants to climb down. So if you're like on a little surface and you want to climb down it, right, it should just do a little step down, right? Otherwise you could just run off it and you just fall off. But if you actively make the choice to, I'll be like climb, right, to do down something. Yeah, I mean, one thing I'm working on now, we're gonna start making YouTube videos again. We did it, but before the quality is a bit. So I got a new camera. Uh, got a new camera. Um, so yeah, we're gonna do some more actual high quality videos talking about our process, kind of what we're doing it. Record like when we go out to do mocap, and yeah, just edit it properly and all that. So hopefully the whole process and the quality of everything we make is should be better. Um, yeah, that's the kind of aim. But no, honestly, stay around, stick in the Discord. Are you in the Discord by any chance? Yeah. But basically, with this, we got a pretty robust find ledge, right? Which is basically like looks out in the world for all the different contexts. Like, is there a wall coming up? Am I gonna be able to climb it? Yada yada yada. General gist behind that. What I'm gonna do now is transform that find ledge into a bit of a find. Oh, still find. It's the same thing. Still find ledge, but it can't just find the ledges up in front of me. I needed to find like ledges that would go off. And then also assess the ground below it. So like these are all gonna go into how we pick the animation. Because if I show you here, I don't know if we have any climb downs. I got a bunch of step downs seemingly. Oh, so you don't have the backer roll. Okay, we'll sort that out. Yeah, I think Dad is making the bot for that to give everyone that bought the game recently the roll for that. But no, yeah, I mean if you're still just in there, I'm David that's my name, guys. For any of you don't know, um, yeah, this is super weird. Why mine doesn't have that? Hella funky, but I'd love it if it let me bloody. I was like, a bit confused as to why I wasn't working. But, yeah. Basically, I want to be like, okay, we'll find the ledge point that you're gonna come off, and then we'll look at how far I am to the ledge, how far down I want to go off the ledge, right? So, and then it's like, okay, oh, this stupid thing, I'm gonna have to rebuild. Okay, one sec. Um, yeah, so find the ledge point, find how far off I want to go to the ground, um, and then depending on that, see what animations can I do, what foot am I on? We'll do some phase matching. What pose am I in? And then they'll be like, pick the best animation based on that. Weight them all, assess all their weights, pick one, and then do that animation with a little bit of whooping here and there. And then we'll throw in some IK, yada yada yada. Oh, yeah. It's I'll tell you what. It's always a real shame. Like it's basically a different game for controller. I'll be honest. Like comparing controller to PC, it's so and like it's really difficult because with PC all the inputs are binary, right? It's like press or no press. Um, well, controller, the thumbstick, the triggers, it makes for way more of like an actual experience. So you actually get to feel the game a bit more. Um, so yeah, I do heavily like if you're playing, I do recommend the controller 100%. Um, above mouse and keyboard. It's just not the same game. And I think that's with anything you play, like any game that kind of is like movement based. Yeah, it's never going to be the same with mouse and. Although weirdly enough, the actual general locomotion works really well with mouse and keyboard, which is funny, but yeah. Okay, so that plays. Let's go into here. Let's fire this open, and let's just, so now you should start seeing the little ball pop up. Yeah, I'm gonna basically improve the find ledge so you can actually find stuff you want to drop off of. And then eventually I'll improve it even more so then you can find things you may want to jump to. This is when we'll start adding precisions, right? When you can now find. So currently, when you, yeah, for sure, because all those guys are playing with controller. So, yeah. So currently now you can, when you jump, for example, you just jump, right? We just pick the best one based on speed and whatever, or if you want to jump over a wall, yada yada yada. But what we want to do next is, is add. Well, which I'm going to start doing now is make the find ledge more complex in terms of, so descents today. Then I'm going to add strides and pliers, which will also open up precisions, because basically we'll make it so the find ledge detects like possible landing points for you, or like things you might want to jump to, right? You may not specify the input to jump to, and at that point it'll just jump, right? But if you do say, I want to stick, for example, it'll be like, is there something there? Like at that point, we've already figured out and realized that there is something in your way. So that option becomes available, right? Of like, do you want to stick? Yada, yada, yada. Yeah, so, but yeah, let's do that. So I think if I walk up to something now, you should see a ball. So you see that red ball. So basically, that red ball, as you can see, is your sort of like find ledge. So if you see it, it goes between all the different ledges we have. It's pretty much, I wouldn't like, it's pretty robust and pretty spot on. So yeah, this will bounce between across all the ledges, whatever. Made it. So now what we need to do is basically if I climb up here, for example, you lose it, right? It doesn't be like, you have a ledge here, you can climb down. But when I want it to have the ball there, and then also not only that, I want to now start getting a little point off of the, like on the ground to be like, where would I come off? And then when you pick an animation, it's going to be like, so if we look in our animations, for example, it's a bit technical. Tell me if I'm boring you guys. If we look in one of our animations, let's go like a pop. See, we have all these curves, right? Which we do in code, we extract in code. But we have like, how high is your foot? How high is your hands? What foot you on? So this is your phase. Your phase goes between pi and 2 pi. So it's like, this is right foot, left foot, right foot. So like, think one phase is a right foot, left foot. It's a whole like cycle of movement. So you see you got half a phase here because it's just one foot, right? And then you got one full phase of there, right foot, left foot, there. And so like, we'll be able to know which foot you're at. So, and you see here, you have your step binaries. When am I taking a step? Then we have like strides, stuff like that. Then we have like, how does your pelvis move? Then you have like your velocities of all the stuff of your route, and then you have like how far my route travels. So all these curves, we're gonna assess all of this information to help pick what animation is best. So one of the things I want to know is, so if we do a climb down, for example, so if he climbs up here, I didn't pick the world's best animation. Okay, so no, this one, for example, I would use, right? So say he drops down here. So I mean, I don't have a climb down anim type right now. I'm gonna add one soon. But basically, what I'll assess here is the point at which he grabs the ledge, right, which is here. So I want to be at the edge of the wall at that point there. So say I trigger the climb down when I'm like this far away, like 1.5 meters away from the wall. I need to technically come into the animation at this point, but like rather than like, because if I can't just be like, oh, climb down now, or it's like, well, if I trigger the climb down now, nothing's gonna happen because he's not at the edge. So I need to pick an animation that if I blend into it at that given point, it's gonna allow me to do this step, that step, grab it, drop down. And then we also look at, okay, well, from this point here to the ground here, how far does my route, and my route is just at the bottom of the capsule, right? How far does that travel down? And then I need to assess that in the world, be like, how far is the drop in the world? And that is also going to help me pick what animation I want to do, right? And we can adjust it, but if you adjust it too much, that's when it doesn't look real. So you want like a 10%, 20% limit of how much you can actually shift the route to be able to be like, okay, yeah, that looks real. So yeah, we really are strict with that, to make sure everything's super fluid. The downside of that is you come into coverage issues, because if you don't have enough animations to cover all the possible 10 and 20%, you'll get a problem where it's like, oh, I don't have an animation. So you sacrifice realism for responsiveness and responsiveness for realism. It's about finding that perfect balance right in the middle, right? So, yeah. But yeah, so I'm not gonna do it now, but I'll do one. I'll get the fine ledge, picking up the wall and whatnot, and then that's the main chunk. And then I'll need to grab all of these animations, basically go through with you guys and just pick out and extract a bunch of animations, put them in, and then should hopefully want to add some code for the logic and the selection. It should have the sense. We will see. Probably won't, but we'll figure out. Let's start with actually finding the point that we need to find, basically, and then we'll go from there. So to do so, let's do a couple things. So let's first go to our find ledge. So one of the things I do is can find ledge. It's like, this is yeah, what's it bloody called? My brain, lambda function. So yeah, so it's just like, yeah, it's done. It's not a function in itself. It's because it's like a user one-time thing. So initially I had, if you see here, has taken, so this advanced locomotion mode is where I used to handle the climbs and stuff. Initially I had like, have we taken off on the climb? But basically what I want to do rather is like have this fine ledge theoretically always happening. You're always looking for ledges around you because you never stop, right? You might want to grab things, you might want to do whatever. So always keep looking for the ledges around you. But my actual code that updates what I want to do during a climb, that needs to stop taking in the input rather than. So I haven't even seen your questions. Yeah, I don't know if you've ever played Dying Light. How you. Yeah, that's a lot of IK, inverse kinematics. So that way that works is you get a point in the world and then we compute backwards. So you have FK, which is like, I say my bones move. I'm like, rotate my shoulder 20 degrees, that 20 degrees. That is the movement you get, right? IK works inversely, so inverse kinematics. So I say my point here, my location, is like this point here in the world. I want my hand to be there. Compute backwards, given a bunch of constraints. So that's how they put the hands on different ledges and surfaces like that. So yeah, so we're saying if we can find the ledge, first thing we always set it to false, right? Because it should be, we only find technically if it hasn't found a ledge in this like frame or whatever, this tick, it should be false, right? Because this get ledge trace data is our most current ledge context trace. If there are multiple devs, how do you guys all share the work, keep the dev build updated between all of you? No, so the beauty we use GitHub at the moment. So the beauty we get is that it can be difficult for certain stuff. So we do everything in code, right? So stuff like this, you can merge changes. So if I write code, say in this manager here, I can merge this change with Dado's code, right? And then if you have conflicts, say you both change something, it'll show you the conflicts. I have like a dev branch and the head, which is the most recently updated thing. And then you can like merge and solve whatever conflicts you have. The only bad thing is that it doesn't, that Unreal assets, so these like assets here, right, and these blueprints and whatnot, they don't merge because they're not code, right? They're like U assets, they're a specific type. So you can't merge changes there. So with that, you just have to commit a lot. Something like Perforce and stuff like that allows you to check out and make changes to specific things. So for assets, it's a bit better. So for Git, it's not as amazing because you'll just have a conflict. So because we're currently now a small team, it works really well. So we just talk like okay, guys, we all know what people are working on. So we're like, if I'm making a change, for example, if Guns is working on the UI, for example, and I'm making a change to UI, I'll be like, oh, Guns, is this UI blueprint clear to change or whatnot? If you say, no, I'm working on it, I'll be like, okay, cool. I may, if I need it, make a backup of that, work with that, and then be like, okay, I'll merge my changes after you. But which is not necessarily the most effective way of doing it. So that's why code is so much easier. Like, it's like you can actually work with a big team. So the blueprint projects get scaled out now really quickly. But yeah. Anyway, so we have here. So the first thing we need to go through. So this max climb up height, right? This can just be a constant expression as well, but this is basically how high we can climb up. I might change this because this is a bit of a like. What I'm gonna do is while I'm doing it, may as well clear up the function, right? So what we'll do. I see. Yeah, we're working on that now as well. We're setting up using this raw input plugin thing, so we can actually take in any controller input to be able to recognize that. So you don't have to have DS for Windows in it as well, because it's always a bit of a faff explaining to people to join Discord. Oh, if you're using PS controller, you need to download DS for Windows, yada yada. I mean, a lot of games actually don't have that ability anyway, but because we're so early on, it's kind of like a backseat thing. But because we're also very player involved, it is also quite important. So yeah, for sure. Change this. Yeah, to be fair, I'm not sure exactly. I made some changes to my thing and everything looks a bit funky. I'm not too sure what is going on today. I have no clue. Hmm. Oh, I'm on 150%. See, I never. What? Oh, I am 150%. Yeah. See, I was always wondering about that. You know what? I never realized that was a thing. I was always wondering why my stuff is so big. I need to reopen this, and that's the case. Whoa, this is a bit. No, thank you. I'm not a fan of that. Yeah, I get behind that a bit. Yeah, see, this I can get behind a bit more. The one. Although this feels nicer. To you. Hey Noma, how you doing? How are you on this fine evening? How you been? Yeah, still finally got it out after how many months? Yeah, now we're cracking on with the next one. Yeah, so let's do this. So, first things first, what are we doing here? So, maximum climb up height. Let's change this value here Nope, I don't want to go in here. Let's go. Do I use anything that's unique in this? No. Let's do float. Kinds of fish, man. And then what we're actually gonna do here is float. We're gonna do another version very soon. So minimum find ledge height, really. So this is gonna have to be how low down do I want the ledge that I want to possibly find be. Now, because we're doing precisions, right, and this will end up coming into play, I think we need to make this just as robust. Because basically, I want to find up and down now, right? If there's both exist, draw 2 points and let you pick, right? So, yeah, let's do, you know what? 5 meters is crazy, let's be honest. It's crazy, but let's just keep them the same for now. So what we'll do, we're gonna say min, let's go. So yeah, we can get rid of you. There we go, that's not a variable. So let's see here. So minimum climb up height. Yeah, so that's fine because that is actually yeah, that is actually something I'm gonna set as that. But for this fine ledge, we're gonna change it around. No, this is gonna have repercussions, I think, because yeah, it's gonna have repercussions. Because it's gonna impact what ledges get picked up. But I'm hoping if we done it right, the scale stuff cancels out. So we'll see. Issue here is that the number of traces is actually the minimum. I guess really the minimum 5 lead is actually it's actually that. So we would actually then times by 0.5. That's interesting. That might be like an optimization thing. I'm gonna do so. Min hit distance is the max. Yeah, that's fine. Trace gap is yeah, whatever. Trace iteration gap. Thankfully, cost that. Cool. Okay, cool. That's fine. Now they think how often this version come out. Hopefully now we have multiple, like 2 a month. Hopefully, 2 to 3 a month. That's the aim. Hopefully, probably want it in the end of this week as well. Because why not? If these descents work well, I'll just push that. I'll just do a release this week once they're done. Way more often now than before, so that's the main thing that we wanted to also get into habit of doing. Okay, so now with this, so the way it does before, right, is yeah, I mean this should actually be fine. So obviously with number of traces being like, if it's like 500 minus that, it'd be like 1,000, right? Which is pretty huge, but we could change the iteration gap. So yeah, it goes 1,000 up, and well, from a point, and then it decreases it, so and so up to the point. So yeah, and the start point is just gonna be, yeah, the start point is there, right? But this really, I don't even, should even just be like that. I don't know who that is. Yeah, 100%. That's once I've done the sense, that cap grab's the next thing I want to do. Yeah, you know what it is? It's, how do I put it? We're just not really focused on that. Like flips and stuff are just so later on. They're kind of like it really, like, how do I put it? I don't want to say it's not hard to do, right? Like, so like the thing I've learned of working doing all this game dev is that the stuff that looks easiest is always the stuff that's hardest. Like, that's always the case. It's like, if it looks like it's hard to do, most likely it's actually pretty easy to do. If it looks like it's easy to do, most times it's actually really hard to do. Same has been for our work. It's like stuff that everyone's like, oh my god, wow, it's been easy. But when it's like, oh, okay, you don't even notice it, that's the hard thing. Flips and that, I don't know, there's just like, we were having this discussion this morning, me and Dado, who's the lead dev. We were chatting about basically just parkour games and like the use of parkour in games in general. I'm gonna put a bracket here just because, like, cleaner code. Here is, if you don't know what this is like getting the trajectory distance, so you can, how far out the trace goes, basically based on how far you want to move forward. So I think this is how we're gonna allow you to adjust your precisions, how far out the trace goes, basically. But yeah, that's another time. We also don't need this value right now because we don't use, I have this trajectory forward vector that I actually set based on the trajectory, so you will know where you want to go, and I might actually use that as like for precision, so I might leave this. So one of the things we were talking about is sort of like the direction of the game, right? Because we see a lot of new systems coming out in parkour, and it's the thing is, they're all just the same, right? So they all, especially if they're made in Unreal, they're all really the same because they all done the same way. Like, they use motion warping and they play an animation for this height, and they do we're really hoping that our matching, our phase matching, and taking a slightly more realistic approach to things, significantly more realistic approach to how you do it, whether or not you're doing it, and just, trying to do things in a bit more of a unique way. Because at the end of the day, we kind of want, like, 10 years from now, people still to play the game, right? And yeah, that's the thing. Although people say it's like skate, but we don't want it to be skate, right? We want it to be its own thing and be unique in its own way. Sort of like feel like more than just jump around and flick sticks and spam moves. It's like, just, we're talking about like each input and each individual action needs to feel sick, right? Like those games were like, so Assassin's Creed, for example, amazing game. I mean, Unity is one of my favorite games. After like 20 minutes, each individual input lost the sense of like, oh damn. Whereas now, to this day, I still see Kratz just do a cat pass and land on a gap, and it's like, yeah, and he's just done a cat pass. Like, you know what I mean? You just do like one move, and like, but like one move can be so much. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, like at the end of the day, if it can be fun just to do one thing and one move, like, then you could play for hours, have done 50 moves, but each one feels special in itself, and you don't just lose it in the mess of jump, flip, and it's just like, you know what I mean? It all just clouds, and there's something about that is just like every other game, right? It's just like every other game that has parkour in it, and it's just watched like, and it's a bit cleaner, and it's like, okay, but then it's like, is that new? Is that unique? Is that something different? Is that something 5 years from now when a load of other parkour games come out, is it gonna still be like, yeah, but they're not quite this game? You know what I mean? Like, it's not about just it's because we're not doing it as a money flip, right? We want it to really be something special, and like 10 years from now, people to still look back at this game and be like, yo, no one did it like that. You know what I mean? They all just like they pulled characters different places, and like, it's difficult because you're trying to figure out that way kind of as you go, and like, quite frankly, people want to see the flips, and they want to see the back and the crazy and the jumping, and it's like, we could do it, like we could do that, like us three, we could easily probably get a product where you can flip, trick, and do whatever you want, jumping around an environment in 2-3 weeks. And like a game where you do that and have missions and whatnot. but it's just, I don't know, there's nothing to that. I don't know, it just, I feel like it just doesn't have the same feeling, you know what I mean? And it's hard to sell that, right? Because again, like if people aren't listening to this conversation or like in our heads, they don't understand that's what we're trying to reach, but they just see like, oh yeah, but this game he does a triple flip. Your game just does a running jump. Like yours looks so much crap, but it's like, yeah, but like it's the feeling. You know what I mean? It's different. Yeah, I don't know, but we don't do it for the money no more. So, well, we never did. So we never do. So yeah, it's we know what we're trying to make, and the STORROR guys I think get it as well. So yeah, when it's stuff like, to come back to your question, when it comes to stuff like flips and whatnot, it's just not a priority. Like we could add it, I could generally to like a day, we could just add flipping off stuff and doing like all the, like doing like a cork 360 and just make an input, like press B and A at the same time and you'll do a cork. No, yeah, no, 100%, 100%. It is, yeah. The map's difficult to do at the moment for sure. But what we're liking doing it, it's almost making it very hard for ourselves. In terms of like, the map is hard, but like the more and more our system is able to meet the map, the more like robust it is becoming. So we're almost giving ourselves a bit of a difficult challenge, but like from a dev perspective, rather than putting a bunch of blocks, we don't ever see the flaws in the game. Like seeing, how to put it, like I could make a level for you guys today with all the right block heights, and you will have like probably like 0 bugs, right? Put everything, just space things nicely that I know will work, and you'll have no bugs, and it'll be cool. But for me, I don't get any like, it doesn't help me make the game. It doesn't help anyone make the game, you know, because it's like, I don't need to know what works well. I need to know what doesn't, you know. Does that make sense? Like, as much as you like your positive feedback is amazing and we need it, your negative feedback is valuable, right? Like that is what is actually valuable to us. So yeah, which is ironic. People think I want to hear good things. It's like, no, you want to hear the bad things, because what doesn't work, what is broken, where is the errors, what feels slow, what feels quick, you know what I mean? Like that's what that's actually how we want to develop. Sorry, let me do this thing. I'm gonna think as well. Trace start equals yada yada yada. Let me actually draw debug this thing. This has does that have the dual GUI? Yeah, it does. Distance, trace channel, yeah. Plan on doing a map. Will there be multiple, one big open map? Oh. Yeah, I actually know what's going on there, to be fair. I think an open map, I'll be honest. Because I think there'll be something so cool about that, as opposed to like little isolated sandboxes. I think like a big open map would just be so cool. Got a message request. Ah, awesome, thank you. Hey Sarah, sorry, I didn't even see the message. Hey Sarah, how are you? Yeah, by live streams are back. I'll be doing it every day again. Just back to it. Yeah, that's because of how we handle collisions. Collisions are a tricky one. So currently, the way we created maps before, we had, so one of the guys, Sam Carter, he's actually a parkour guy, and he designed the map for us. And it's just blocky layouts at the moment. Obviously the visual of it will completely change as well once you texture it, once you add all this stuff, like fill it with things like environment, atmosphere, ambient sound. There's so much stuff. Yeah, it's a lot. It's difficult to yeah, spreading ourselves too thin. That's why I mean partly we're just spreading ourselves too thin in too many areas. Just a bit more of a concentrated map for now. But an open world London with like pockets of different stuff, I think that's the end goal. Open world for sure. As in like, but like open world in terms of like we'll stream areas through. So then you'll be in like pockets of stuff, right? So like I think it'd be so cool to be like you're in London and then you move through or run around and then you go to this next pocket with different players. That'd be sick. But in the multiplayer side, Jesus, that's a whole nother kind of worms. Another day, another dollar. Another day, another dollar, man. Yeah, let's jump in here. Um, yeah, so let's see what this final is doing. Oh. It really is. It really, really is. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, I think the modding community is a cool community, man. Some kind of custom stuff for sure. 100%. I had this feeling. See that what I'm wondering is if so this is going up. So here, what's Trace Stars reposition? Oh yeah. So see, yeah. So this is the issue. Um, so what we actually need to be doing. So this is the weird part. So you kind of want to go. You want in terms of when you find the ledges, you actually kind of want to go down up. um, so what I think what we actually need to do is this, but the start position is up vector. Um, yeah, and then we're actually gonna do min find ledge height plus I, right? So it's gonna be like minus 500. I forgot that bit. Which means you're gonna look down before you look up. Which, yeah, works. Becomes more like slightly more difficult in terms of like if there's something below you. So you probably should look. It's weird how you should look. You should be like, huh, and then if you don't find anything, huh, and then kind of do it in brackets. For now, we'll just go up, because that scenario is quite unique. But I'm gonna change that. Change that. Let me actually make a note. It takes so long to build the first time I live code. I wonder what. Probably this is some compiler stuff. Then after it's like rapid. So there's something with 5.1. I don't even know what it is. Something about 5.1. I don't know. There's something that we're using. I don't know what we're using different because we literally get the same settings, but we went from 5.03 to 5.1 and everything just sucked. Like Jesus. But there is a fix that we're gonna have with the MetaHuman mesh that makes all the difference in the world. We will see it too. But yeah, there's a massive fix. With the armpits stuff. When we make it, you guys will know. Lovely jubbly. That's better. Okay. So now, I mean, I'll walk around this. Getting all them hits. All the trace is still giving me what I need to get. So I can still climb and everything. Yeah, that's all cool. So here, if I do a little double climb. Reverse foot off because wine. Okay, fantastic. Nice. Okay. It says it requires 1 gig, but right, it says 60. What do you mean? Oh, yeah, the full game. I think because of the full game against the current. Yeah. Yeah, cool. Okay, so we have our ledge. I mean, that was no difference there. It's actually not some tool trace. But we'll do it for now. Angle of impact. Yeah, that's all good. Um, that's wrong. This is not angle of impact. Angle of impact is it's not. This dot product is like how much is one thing in the same direction of as the other. So it's like how much does my interestingly, I'm not sure about this because that's not a vertical wall trace. This is the horizontal wall trace. And this angle of impact here against the up vector. Like I can kind of get it, so it's slanted walls, right? Like I get it, I do. I'm not sure I like the naming of that though. We'll leave it that because it makes more sense. Basically, dot product is like for anyone that doesn't, most people probably would. It's just like how much is one vector in the same direction of another. So if they have a dot product of 1, it's in the same direction. -1 opposite. I mean, basically, so this is like it's sort of perpendicular. All right. I mean, okay, I'll come to that. So. So basically here, I like this. So what this does, right, is so this is quite a good way of finding the closest one. So we say here, the root distance. So we go from the root to the impact point, right? We say if the root distance is greater than the minimum hit distance, right? Which is like yeah, so if it's greater than the minimum hit distance, which we currently set to a gigantic value, that means it's further away. So we don't actually, in terms of the fine ledge, so we don't care because it's not the closest one. So it's basically a good way of finding the closest point. You continue here. There's a C++. Continue is different to break. So like a break, if I said break here, it will kill the for loop. So and then but continue goes to the next iteration. So technically, you could then say if I shoot a point, right, this wall is half a meter away from me. The next point I shoot, it's now a meter away from me, right? I'm like, oh, I don't care. This other point's closer, so I'm more likely to go to that, right? Now, if I then say, break, I'm gonna kill the whole for loop, so it's not gonna check the rest. But continue just skips that iteration and goes to the next. So it's quite useful in this context because you still want to check the rest of the possibilities, but you just want to skip doing any other stuff for something that you don't really care about because it's too far away. So yeah, that's whatever. Angle of impact inward recess is angle of impact, which is just the dot product between those two. Times by the trace gap times by 0.5. Impact in wall offset. It's a vector of the impact normal x, y, and z. X and y. Z of 0. Interesting. Plus times by the angle of impact. So that's plus that. Oh, I see. Yeah, so we're moving it back that much. Interesting. Inward trace. Wall hits point minus impacting wall offset. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. So basically all it is like depending on where you hit, move the trace in a bit to actually find the wall. Plus that times by trace gap. Times by 1.1. Yeah, that makes sense. Alright, so this inward trace. Inward is a weird way, but it's like sort of like downward trace, right? So it's like I hit the wall and now I need to see if I can find the ledge. If I hit the wall like this, I want to move it in the wall a bit more like that based on the dot product. So I can move it like this. I don't just want to move it based on that because it could all go off a wall, but I wanted to move it wherever and then be like, doop, find a wall in that point there. It's probably an easier way to do that, but I'm going to leave it for now. I think it's data wrote some of that, so that's fine. Surface here, cool. If surface here doesn't have a block in it. So now this is all good for finding stuff out there. The issue is, I don't care about that. So interestingly enough, now I'm actually sort of read through the code for this. A lot of stuff I don't actually care about in the sense, because I need to find what's coming back on myself. So kind of a different trace. But I want to use the same stuff, so it's kind of different in the sense of like I need to come back on myself based on from out in. So it's like, so my actual like trajectory isn't gonna be my forward vector. It's gonna be my forward vector times -1. So I need to find the wall I'm hitting. I'm trying to think where's the best place to slot this is in. I might just do them at the same time. Do them both. So have a wall hits of like out, then have one coming in. Exact same way. You know what? Let's do that. Let's do this. Okay, so outward and inward. Yeah, that makes sense. So it's actually going to be root position plus right times by the trajectory distance. Then we add this guy as well. So it's going to do the same thing, but it's going to be coming in. It might be a bit confusing because it's going to do both, but I'm just, yeah, you'll see it when I do it. So go out the trace forward vector times by the distance, up whatever heights that we already do. That's all good. Then outward, all hits. Oh, you know when you spell it wrong. Can't spell today. What's wrong with me? So here, sorry, the inward wall hits is going to be trace forward vector times by minus 1.0. Oh my god. Alright, so this that'll just draw that one, right? So that's all I care about really. Now the issue is the angle impact is slightly different. So this one is using with the up. And actually no, it's the exact same. Make no difference. Yeah, made no difference. What if you guys did ladders and ladder like surface climbing? Yeah, no, surface like that for sure. I mean, I remember in 009 or so, yeah, previous version, I made like I threw together like a week or so, some like a little climbing demo thing. Just to see kind of how it would be, what was the vibe and that kind of thing. Do you know what it was? I didn't like it. I'll be honest with you, I really didn't like it. I remember after that shift, I was like, man, I don't like this at all. I don't know, it just didn't feel unique or new. I just, you know, I was kind of trying to do something. Yeah, I feel like it's got to feel or look new, and it didn't. So, kind of just was like, meh. It's a bit meh, innit? So, what's the point? Feels meh, looks meh. Get rid of it. So I just scrapped the whole thing. Didn't like it, so. So here, this is the thing, right? This is where it comes a bit. Whoosh. So we're saying if we have a hit on the wall going out, we need to do all this guy, right? But to then the issue with that, obviously, is like a lot of this stuff is repeated for both. So I can be like if either or, right? I wonder. So the outward wall hit has a hit, and the angle impact is that, right? Then we're gonna look for the surface. But this is just the repeated code, so we don't need to do it. What I might do is make this a function, right? And assess what stuff here gets repeated and what doesn't. and then just like parameterize that. So let's see. This thing here, that's all fine. Whether you do your little traces, whatever. So now we're saying that the outward has an impact. So what do we use? Just this hits. That's all we really use, isn't it? Now I've been working on cluster physics for a while. They're interesting because they're really performance heavy. So I don't know if we're gonna have to use some kind of bake sim, for them. But again, yeah, I spent too much time on that for no reason. So, trying to see if we can really do it all in Unreal. It's a bit of a nightmare, but we'll see. Maybe, maybe not. Um, see now the rest of the stuff, right? It is a bit. Because we also, so this here, check if it's from root to, that's, we only care about if there's something in your way if you're going out. If you're not, you don't really care about that. But then you also need additional stuff. Because there's stuff like, even things like ledge height and all that stuff, how we calculate that is going to be different. So I'm wondering if it just is better to split it up. Um, mm, yeah, it's because there's something going with Unreal's anti-aliasing. It might be the TSR stuff as well, because like um yeah, AMD devices are having a nightmare with it as well. Yeah, I think it's something with the temple super resolution. I mean, once we move to UE 5.1, it just like my game, my actual run of I have a 3060, and my actual like build of the game runs terribly. Like in editor, fine, but my actual like play, if I was to download the version, looks awful, like completely awful. I literally don't play it on that because I play it in editor instead. It's just complete looks terrible when you package it. There's something going on with the anti-alias. It just destroys it completely. But it only happened when we moved to 5.1, so I don't know what's changed. Need to figure it out. Um, just trying to think how I can do this going forward so that we don't have to change it again. Let's think. I think because all I'm looking at here. See, that's what's see. I'm jealous. I think it's something from like 30 series above because that was the same, but the lower spec PCs, like 2060, 2070, those work perfectly fine. There's something going on. I'm not sure what it is. I think I can't just I could just pass in a hits, right? And then, but this kind of stuff here, right? All these checks, they don't just continue the loop. That's why I'm a bit like, You know what, let me code it up badly, and then I'll see how I can improve it. Yeah. So that is my exact issue. The build is very good, performance wise. No, I get FPS. My aliasing is crazy, and I got 3060 as well. So I think there's something going on. Hey Dustin, how you doing, man? Um, I really wonder, am I just better splitting this off? But it's not technically. It should all just be in one. Um, Not too bad, man. Not too bad. Cracking on. Because we go out and then we also come back in on ourselves, right? We go out to that point and we also say, okay, we'll come back. Is there a wall there? Um, so I'm saying like if output this has a hit of that, or the inward one has a hit, right? But then we need to basically I want us to end up having one thing, but then we also have to do a bunch of checks. Okay, you know what? I'm faffing around. Let me just write stuff because I'm gonna write some code. Ooh, you know what we could assess, right? Because the issue is, right. So like I was gonna be like, well, see which one is closer. Is the inward hit closer than the outward hit, right? And for that version, then choose that, right? So like pick whichever. If the out one is closer to the in one, choose the out. If the in is closer to the out, do that. But it could be a case that by picking one over the other, you lose like because then say the inward one might not have a right up like down trace, yada yada, or the outward one might not have a right, and you lose then that inward hit which you may need later. So if the outward is greater than the minimum hit distance, but then this might not have a hit. This impact point could be like whatever. So now we need to check that it. This is why I'm wondering: is it better just to be able to split up into two? Oh, this is so bad. Yeah, sorry. If so the outward wall hits has a blocking hit. Let's check if that's the case. Yeah, yeah, Lachey's and all that will come. Yeah, for sure, 100%. Um, yeah, this is what's very annoying. I just don't like this. It looks terrible. It's terrible code. It should just be thingy. Compute the best one or something like that. You see all these checks here, they're quite necessary to. You know what I could do? I don't know why I didn't. Sure, I didn't. I could just do just return a flag on that to actually. So it's either gonna return true or false if it's set something. If it doesn't, it's gonna set the edge location of that. You know what? Let's split it up. And if it returns that, we continue. Returns false, we continue. Yeah, you know what? Let's do it. Let's go bool. What should it be? It's not fine. It's fine ledge, but it's like name it. It's gonna be like it's not fine ledge. It's gonna be like find ledge point, or it's like compute assess ledge point or something like that. Something like that. It's gonna be something like this, and it's gonna take a f hit result. What the? What did I do? I opened up an else. um. I was like, what the hell did I do? Um. Rogue Sun. Okay, so here. Okay. What we're gonna move? We're gonna move. Yeah. What we'll do is we'll move. So yeah. Okay. Yeah. Nice. Okay. So. First thing we need to do. Well, let's do the function in the other thing. So, I don't know why I didn't do this from the start to this. So that's wall hit. So So the hit radius is greater than that, return false, right? Oh yeah, crap, we need to. But can I not compute the angle of impact myself then? Before, like, I'm wondering if I can just do this whole thing, this including this, in the other thing. We can, you know. So we do the line trace for the wall, and then we just assess it. Like these are do all our checks in a separate function, so that we can split the two up. Yeah, you know what? We can split that up because they use the same function. It's the beauty of it. No repeated code. You do it twice, it means you could do it once. Yep. Yeah. Okay, so now we say here, sorry. Assess the ledge point. Root position here, minimum hit distance out, yeah. Hit root distance is gonna be it's the issue there. Nah, that's fine. We can return this. Hold on. No, we can return this. That's what we'll do instead. Float. Here. This is a tough one. Um, when the surface hit the impact point dot z minus root position z. So this is basically saying if the z of the yeah, so basically this is saying if the z of where the surface is beyond the like the minimum height I can step up, then we want to make it valid. So we're saying is it like a surface that points up basically, and then if so, is the z of that greater than the minimum one? That's wrong, because what if actually no, that's dead correct. It's because it's the we take the absolute value, right? So even if it's lower, so this is my z is 10 and my z down there is like minus 500, right? The value of that is actually still like it's still greater than that value. So whether or not we're going up or down, the z of that is greater. So we actually do care about that. Yeah, I think that should be fine. And then we'll return this hit root distance. Yeah, cool. So that returns the hit root distance, right? Let me just make sure I did that. Okay, cool. So now in the actual trace, we then want to say, because I do I do this angle of impact thing? I did do that, right? No, I brought it in, but I didn't use it. Because we don't want to do anything if we ain't got a block in here and the angle of impact is. In theory, from this function here, I should be able to just completely delete all of this. In theory. It never works that way, but now then all I need to say in this function now is just be like, if let me say if let me say if assess ledge point outward wall hits crap. You know what the thing is though? I need to pass it the minimum hit distance, because this don't make no sense, because it's always just gonna be basically it needs something previously to check it against. So like here Yeah, if it's not, if it's the actual distance is greater than it needs to get rid of, but that's always gonna be the case. So like minimum hit distance needs to actually be passed to. As I think that's gonna be the first thing. Cool. So we pass it the hits, comma the minimum. What can she do? Also, it's a float, so it's actually out. Check for occlusion. It's gonna be true. Basically, because then, because the thing is, it's not gonna be yeah. So what we've done is we've got two values, right? The outward check. The issue is this sets ledge points if it's valid. Yeah. Now, okay, what we need to do, yeah, no, this is wrong. So what we need to do basically is do one at a time. We do the outward one, set the hit, because then the inward won't set unless it's like closer. So yeah, okay, so we'll say outward ledge check, assess the ledge point. Let me update the minute. Basically, we say here, if the assessed ledge point of this guy greater than 0, right? So if it's negative, one, it'll be false. That means we've actually like set a value, right? Then yeah. So if the outward trace is greater than 0, that means we've actually found something. Then we're gonna say min hit distance is equal to let's do if in it. So let's do const auto yeah. So the outward ledge is gonna be assess ledge point that, and then we say if that is greater than 0.0s, minimum hit distance is equal to the outward ledge. Because in here, at the end we return the root distance, which is our new minimum hit distance, which is what we compare against. Yep. And then we say, yeah, cool. Because then we don't have, that means if it's not, then it didn't set where we returned before, so we don't do that. And then we do the exact same thing. Sorry, Zara, 2 seconds. I'm just we check out and check in for each one, and then we go to the next loop. Should just return if not, so then we don't do the other stuff. List looks a hell of a lot cleaner, right? So we'll see. Looks a million times cleaner than what it did before, and we're doing both. I feel like there's only one way to find out, so let's probably won't even build. How is the So how is the UI coming along? What are the plans for that? UI is a tough one. It's really hard. I underestimated so much. It's really hard because then even the things I create and then see, I'm like, I don't like. It's a tough one to do. Yeah, it's coming. It's just it just takes a lot of iteration to really nail the design of it. It's also just like we always do it last minute because it's like very much the last thing you actually need. But because we're doing playtesting, people kind of need a bit of a UI to know how to do the moves and whatnot, which is the difficult thing to balance, right? Between we want you to get in and just test the gameplay because that's what we're working on, but you're not gonna know what to do unless you obviously watch the streams and all that stuff, which is the majority of the players. So it also needs to be at the point where the system is coherent enough of a game, right? So that you can actually just plug straight in and be able to know what to do and just do it, right? So yeah, it's coming along though. We haven't put much effort into it yet, to be honest. Well, we obviously put effort into it, but not much like planning and stuff. But we will do. Uh, yeah, it's coming soon. Hey, Kate, go on. How you doing? It didn't crash. Just promising. Awesome, Zaha, man. Oh, man, that direction. But yeah, thank you so much. Um, awesome, yeah, definitely, 100%. Yeah, we'll see for sure. Yeah. Yeah, stick some stuff in shameless plug. Yeah, see what you can do. I don't see why not in the future. We might work on some stuff together. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. And yeah, join in the streams regularly. Have a chat. Any questions or want to know anything? See how stuff's going. Just let me know. The main thing still finds the ledge. Now the question is, oh, seeing it's finding that one. It's looking as it's okay. It's looking like it's doing something. So you see that little ledge points. That means it's the wall hits are picking up the right things. Now seemingly somewhere is causing the breakout of that. Awesome. Yeah, sleek options are coming very soon. It's kind of gonna go off of the system I'm making right now. So yeah, they're all kind of gonna interlink a bit. That actually kind of works. Main thing is I wanted to see if all the fine ledge stuff would be just fine, which seemingly it is. Now it also incorporates the down trace. So let's have a look at why this isn't picking up. Not necessarily not picking up anything, or yeah, not picking up anything, but yeah, let's have a look why what's going wrong, where it's telling me that, well, what it's returning. Let's see here. I think it's something to do with this, you know. Oh, I know why it's not doing it. I'm very stupid. Here, I don't want to check for occlusion. False. On my inward trace, obviously don't want to check if it's including anything. Very dumb of me. Because it should occlude the wall. So that is one thing there. Stakes are precisions, basically. So when you jump to a wall and stay there, but you do that with the mind knowing that you're going to jump to a wall to stay there. So how you jump changes. It's really it's a tricky topic because you need to kind of jump knowing that you're going to stick, right? You don't kind of just make up in the head. But yeah, I think the first thing we got to decide is the input for that. How do we let them know? Okay, surface for one frame. So interestingly, let's see. So if I draw this one here, I can see the line trace going down. Good. Now if I can climb up on here. Oh no, I do see a line trace going down. So I do see a line trace going down. I see one that hits as well. So why, my friend, are you not? I wonder, that's quite interesting as to why it's not drawing the. You know what I'm curious about? Let me try this. I just want to see where it's getting to in the in that scenario. I'm wondering if it's actually getting. Yeah, I want to know where it's getting to, where it's coming off at false, because it's looking like seemingly that it's actually just perfectly fine, but it's coming up false somewhere. One of those values aren't is they're not doing what I wanted to do. So so you see that? So it's getting through everything. That's really interesting. So it's getting through everything and it's drawing that purple sphere right by. Wow, very interesting. So it's drawing the purple sphere, which is what we want to see, right on the edge. So what is it that it is killing it? Here. So if the surface hit impact normal. Oh, so stupid. um, Obviously it's not gonna flag because the step height is 10, and the distance isn't 10. It's 0. So stupid. Let me just make that. Let me just make that. That's so dumb of me. I never even thought of that. I don't know why I didn't think of that. Very stupid. I completely overlooked that bit. So that actually just kind of did just work, which is pretty good. We'll do one last. Let's do Cosbo. Actually, we'll do const float. Min minimum ledge height offset from root. Obviously, barely know anything about coding, but it's still fun. Now I'm glad. I try and so when I do these streams, I actually work significantly slower. Um, I try and talk through everything I'm doing. Funnily enough, it helps my understanding of what I'm doing as well. Actually, helps me learn always, because when you're talking through what you're doing, you actually have to know what you're doing. You're kind of explaining it to yourself. But I also try and do it so that people that are watching kind of get a sense of why I'm doing what I'm doing. And you may not know exactly the syntax, but at least you'll know the thought behind and the follow the logical processes. So you can do it yourself if you wanted to. Yeah, that's how I approach that. Slows me down massively. But yeah, no, it's fun. I don't mind it. Hopefully it just works. I'll be honest with you. Fingers crossed. Just work. I knew this would happen. Yeah, we have a ledge. Yay. Okay, cool. We have a good, robust, fine ledge now. Look at that. Ooh, that is a problem. That is a problem. Ah. See, that's a problem. Um, because it's picking up that bottom ledge instead of the top ledge. Which, as correct as that may be, is highly problematic. Weirdly enough, it works quite well, but yeah, you can't really. Yeah, it's not super. Yeah, it's probably not the. Yeah, interesting. Um, that could be a problem. Yeah, that could be a problem. um, yeah, I'm wondering that could be a bit of a problem. Okay. Uh, how can I solve that problem? Yeah, we could do. How can I solve that problem? I mean, first of all, this is good though. This is good because we've cleaned it up massively. I mean, now our find ledge looks nice and pretty. So when you go to find ledge, it's just like, oh yeah, just if you can find the ledge, set the false, and then you do your lovely find ledge stuff, all in here. You know, nice and pretty. Um, and it does both inward and outward, all just using, just two functions. Nice, much better. So now the issue is, I think if you don't want to check for occlusions, right? What you do need to check is that there's nothing, but damn man, that's a bit. Because the thing is as well, I can be like, oh, find a ledge. No, for sure. But we gotta do that with our trace, right? We gotta have add some logic to do that. That's what I'm gonna do. Basically, we need to check for occlusions, but occlusions at the ledge point. Basically, what we need to do is this. Need to check if I'm into hit in the wall. We could do a couple things. I'm trying to think what the best way to do it is. Because the reason why it's not occlusions anyway is because it's gonna trace is gonna start inside the wall, so it wouldn't be like I'm gonna hit something. It could be like, okay, we could try a couple different things. First one we'll try is this. If you don't want to check for occlusion, right, which is basically you're doing a climb down, what we can do is this. We can say it's a bit stupid because we are doing a check for occlusion, but whatever. Line trace start is gonna be surface hit dot impact point. Direction is gonna be surface hit dot impact normal. No. It's gonna be wall hit dot impact normal. Distance is gonna be trace gap. If bit of a botch. Let's see what happens. I finished live coding. You had a feeling it wouldn't do it. Because I'm wondering, right, if we even need to be like climb up, climb down. Because I'm wondering basically, so, um, yeah, so when you pick up the ledge, right, that's the ledge height point when it decides what it wants to do, right? Then I'm wondering if, like, because I think climb down should be the same input, right? But then we say, like, oh, if the ledge point, if you're trying to climb down, we want to filter out stuff, right? And then we do stuff like that, and then we do the, because I think the checks for what's the ground distance, that should all be relative to the climb down. This find ledge should be isolated. So now you see it's not picking up the thing. I mean, it's not picking up the inside bit there, which is nice. But now it's not picking up these ledges. Because, again, I think what I think we need to do. Oh, you know what? No. You know what I need to do? Make a difference? See, the fact is flashing tells me he's having hard, it's struggling to decide. If I like multiply this by like 2 or something. What's going to happen to the... It's not going to make a difference. Still got to pick that up. Normally, yeah, I thought so. It's a bit of a, and it shouldn't pick up that little thing in the bottom now. It still does. How though? It's because the surface here is a little bit in from the surface, isn't it? Could do that, you know. We go from the impact of the wall rather than the surface point, because the surface point is that. We don't really care about that. We care about the wall, don't we? Yeah. What do you mean? Annoyingly, it picks that up. Just don't pick up the bloody... Yeah, just don't pick up the... Worry starting inside the... I mean, it's a hyper-specific case, in what case you're crossing meshes. Hmm. Oh no, 100%. Yeah, we'll definitely add all that. This is one of the reasons why I'm doing this, to be able to drop down to a ledge. Whether or not you then drop down and hang and then drop down to drop, that's a completely different thing. But we're gonna do that now. Today, I'd like to get it done today, so I'm gonna work on this all day. What is this trace gap value? I don't even know. I'm just kind of. Oh, it's 20. Okay, that's okay. Thing is, it's saying it ain't got a block in here, and that's the biggest problem. Really unique. It's a really like individual situation of like when the meshes are coming against each other. Um, we need to think is we need to check for occlusion, but check for occlusion in a different way. This one we check going to it, right? Maybe we need to check coming from it. Like coming from my outside trace in. I need to check. Am I gonna be collided with something? But then it's the problem is when I'm tracing inside a wall. All right, come on. I think I want to leave. That's effect. Bloody coverage. See, one ain't returning nothing, but it still don't pick up the ledge. This is the, I mean, this does it, which is nice. It saves that thing. See, we have that. This, however, so like stuff for like precisions, right? You see how it picks up that other ledge down there? So now if I jumped from that point, it'd be like, when you try and get there, it'd be like, oh, but yeah, it would aim for that point basically. If I signal the position, it's just okay. So it's really just a case of now. So now it ignores the thing because it makes sense. But now I need it to. Isn't it picking up you? Why it's not picking up that spot though? I'm seeing one that seems as though it should be, but it doesn't look like it is. I'm seeing one that's like a red trace, which tells me that that's not going to be the case. So I'm kind of like, you know what? Let me do this. Sorry, let me do what I did before. Let's see if it reaches it. Those were my debug stuff. We definitely want to include something like that. We definitely want to include something like that. It's really difficult though to find something to include that kind of matches the thematic stuff, like the theme of the game, that doesn't also look shit. One second, I'm just gonna close my door. It's quite difficult to find that balance between like it makes sense in the theme, but then it doesn't look crap in game. Come on, mate, let me climb. Bloody coverage. So see, so it's not drawing a purple thing, which tells me it's not getting to that point. This guy seems to be drawing the purple. Well, it's drawing the red, which means it's drawing the purple. This isn't drawing any purple thing, which indicates to me that it's not actually getting to this point here, which means that this here is killing it. I wonder. So the thing that is curious, I'm seeing a trace there that's red. So I'm a bit like, which looks as though it's from the surface up. The one below, I mean, is a bit crazy. I don't even know what I'm doing. I think that's just actually drawing where the hit is taking place. Yeah, no, I know what you mean. We had it before, and it was nice to actually help people understand what they're moving through. 100%. I think we might need to introduce something similar back. Um, yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's one of those ones. I mean, if you got some ideas, shout them out to me. Let's brainstorm right now. Why not? Let's do it. Yeah, because it's so we have a very like street, urban, like but clean and crisp kind of like security vibe kind of theme to it. Um, uh, it's quite hard to mesh the two. And find a visual representation. So I sort of had an idea for like a 2D thing in a 3D world, which looks, when you think about it, it's tricky. It's a tricky one to do. I think we're gonna have to add something anyway because of precisions. They're gonna need something like a visual representative of where you're gonna go, which I think is gonna be the hardest thing. This stupid thing. It's such a specific case as well. That's the thing. It's so specific. But yeah, which is annoying. But do you know what I need to be doing? I know what I'm doing wrong. I wonder. Hey, hold on, hear me out. So Wait. What have I done wrong now? I've messed something up. Can't tell if it's working or not. I think it might be. I need to know if it's picking up the ledge. See, but I now think it's I think it's still picking up the other ledge. Hold on. So I need to see if it's drawing the red circle. She really shouldn't have made a red circle. Okay, it's picking up this ledge now. It's really annoying. I guess that's fine. You can just trace forward. I think with this, there's a weird like dynamic with when it starts inside the wall, it gets really tricky if you don't have the object on double collisions. So without turning it on, I'm trying to think how we can just eliminate that scenario. Because it won't do a climb up, because I'll do a check in my actual climb up, but I don't want it to even find that ledge. It works theoretically, it's just yeah, we gotta do something for the stream, guys, for sure. This camera's really buggy. It's a bit wonky. What if I could, just check the drop off? There's no collisions on the drop off. So if I went like, See, that's the issue. That is inside something. Annoyingly, that is inside something. This here with the thing being inside it. Because if you just do this, right? If I do that, I'm pretty sure it won't pick up. It's because it's inside, yeah. See, it won't pick up the other, yeah, it won't pick it up. Because it's inside the thing. I think what I need to do is rather than all this, we're just gonna stick to a line trace. Spear trace is too complex. I think what I need to do, right? I think from that surface hit point, I actually think go back. Go back, the wall impact normal. Right? Then go out that much, the trace gap. I'm thinking. So go back one or whatever the normal is, and then go out. I'm curious what this trace is gonna look like. Now that's a line trace. I do wonder. See, now it's hitting that surface there, which is so stupid. Or wonky wall impact. Oh my freaking keyboard stand. You know what? I ain't got time for this. Watch your fix. No one judge me, please. Yeah, it works. Woo. Oh, you technically is correct. You just shouldn't do it because there's a problem. There's literally a wall there. that should fix the issue. I can't jump off things now though, which is because I do find a ledge. That is interesting, which is why I can't jump off things. That's problematic-ish because I technically find a ledge. See, I think this is going to change a lot of stuff because I wonder if now we should have an input for just like, nah, it's got to be the same. Whether or not you want to yeet yourself off something or you actually want to like aim and climb onto. Oh, this one's annoying too. Because look, there's two ledges that are both technically. See, this is when you actually see you might actually need more robust checks to be like, this is a valid ledge. Because something like that, right, is not. Thing is, though, this is the thing that's really annoying, right? It technically could be a valid ledge. You need to, like, what we need to do, right, is augment the trace and omit stuff depending on what my inputs are. So, like, if my input is to, like, do something, right, I need to be, like, ignore trace down. So it's like if I'm holding the right trigger for, or like holding the left trigger. So like here, although I probably want to go up, there could be a scenario where I want to go down, right? And in that scenario where I want to go down, I may want to slide underneath that. Or do you mean, or just, you know, do something interesting going down? Because there is a gap, right? And you kind of would need to somehow specify, because so this is the next thing, right? It's how does the game know what you want to do beyond, like, because the fine ledge can only be so smart. Like, it can only, beyond a certain point, it can only do exactly what is right for. Like, I can't tell it what the context of the player is. The player has to do that. Otherwise, there's no point in me doing it. Yeah, the player has to decide what its context is. This is the base though, which is fine. I'm gonna check this in because it's the base. It's the basis of it. And the worst case scenario, all I have to do now to not have any of these issues is just comment this out, which is nice. But yeah, so that is the base. It's the base of it. So both ledges now up and down are now assessed. I wonder if now we need a priority thing. So like, and then depending on the input or scenario, we switch priorities. And if it's like you have a climb up priority, then you pick the climb up ledge. And if you have a or if you have a, yeah. Or if like the priority is climb down, then you pick the down climbing stuff. And then we switch the priorities based on what you might want to do. So if I'm holding the left trigger, priority switches to climb down maybe. Or if I'm doing the right trigger, priority switches to climb up. Hey Patrick, thank you, man. If you have any questions or anything, I just want to know what's going on in my head, just give me a shout. Yeah, maybe like a priority queue thing. So be like, priority 0 means check for either or whichever one's closest. Priority 1 which means check for climb ups first and foremost. If you have one, take that over anything else. And then we just have different priorities. And then my inputs can decide what my final ledge priority should be. So that if I'm in my climbs, I'll be like, yo, look for climbs. That means my priority is going to go to my climb bin. If I'm like right trigger, I'll be like, priority should be jumping. So look for like precisions and stuff. Over. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea, you know. Let me actually try to do that quickly. I don't think that should be that bad. Wonder how we should do that. Could be as simple as just like int. Oh, you know what would be even cooler? Does this have an interface? It does. Enum class E. Yeah, I think. Then we have because I wonder, because then the priority really isn't necessarily move dependent. It seems like the priority is actually like directional, right, and regional. So like my priority isn't saying my priority in my final ledge is jumps, because you want to jump down, right? It seems the priority is actually like, do I want to look up or do I want to look down? And then how we decide that priority, that should be the thing. So I wonder if it's just like any up or down, and then we take the down ledge over the up ledge. Because then if the priority is up, right, it's not going to look down unless it doesn't find anything going up. But if you find something going up, it's just going to take that. I wonder if is that the best way to do it? If the priority is up or down. I wonder. Should we do it by priorities? Or do we do it by like jump type and be like, I want to prioritize precisions, therefore look for precision? But even then, that feels wrong. Because I would like to implement some kind of thing to make climbing more difficult. Like I'd like to have like left trigger flick up or something like that to climb up, right? Like left trigger, like as you're moving, left trigger up or something. Left trigger then flick up to climb up. Left trigger flick down to climb down. That allows you to actually specify stuff a bit more. Or like left, like Jimmy, because then we can be like left trigger flick up and then back. Could maybe that means you want to climb up and like, I don't know. Do you mean that we could just do more stuff with that? I feel like the climbs are too generic right now. Because then we could also just do like if you press left trigger it'll do whatever climb. If you do left trigger and press up, it'll climb up. Left trigger up and you hold the left trigger, it will try and stay there. Left trigger down and you do the right trigger, it will stay on the wall. That could work quite well. You know, I think let's do up and down. And we can even do if you're falling, for example, priority on the ledge goes to down as opposed to up, like what's below you. That's where the ledge priority comes in. Okay, cool. Let's do that. Let's go. Ledge priority is like this. Any up and down. Or we could go above and below. Yeah. Why are you red? Oh yeah. Did we say here, right? If I know in here, the final ledge. Did we say right? Cool. So if we found, so I'm thinking, if the ledge priority is up, right? We're gonna do the out ledge, right? No, so say we do the out ledge one, right? Yeah. Yeah, because I think if the ledge priority is any, right, we should just do it normally, right? If the ledge priority is up, then if we find an up ledge, we should ignore this. If the ledge priority is down, if we find a down ledge, we should ignore this as well. We could do like a, you know what we'll do? No, it's above. Yeah. If it's above, then we're gonna say if that has a hit, right, then we do that. Otherwise, right? There's definitely gonna be a better way to do this, but for now, let's do that. We'll do case. because then we put them in if else's, right? So then we only do them if like that's the case default. Oh, and we need to remember after we will break that. Otherwise, it will just do both. And do case default. Oh, it's just default. No, you know what? I know a better way to do this. I know a better way to do this. I know a better way to do this. Okay, to do this. Let's do this. Also primary. Let's do. Yeah, F hit result. Primary will hit. I can put this into a struct. Basically, I'm gonna get like a struct that's gonna be like secondary primary, right? And then we'll switch between which is what, depending on which. And then we'll hear, because those are the only things that are different, isn't it? And we have again float primary root offset. Okay, and then we'll say here, switch on the ledge priority if the ledge priority is above, right? Then we're gonna say primary wall hit is equal to outward wall hit, right? Primary occlusion check is equal to true, and primary is equal to this guy, right? And then, you know what, let me just do it in here. There's no point in doing it half up, like, you know what I mean? Struct. Yeah, basically we initialize them as that the outward one is the primary, true, and we inward as secondary. If it's outward, we just give kill out. If it's inward, then we swap them around. We say initialize that as temp. It's the primary. Primary becomes secondary becomes the primary. Secondary becomes the temp, which was the previous primary. And then break. And then here, if this, and then first we say if ledge priority I wonder if we could just ignore. We don't need to do both. I don't think we do. Let's try and find a way so we don't need to do this. So we say primary. So we do the primary. So I think what we'll do is we do the primary one, right? And then we say if then we say if ledge priority is any or so we say if the ledge priority is any or the primary ledge is not valid. So that means, and then we say here so basically, okay, that's much better. So we're saying here, so we initialize variables, primary ledge valid is no. So then we do the primary check, right? And we say, okay, well, if this is true, then we're gonna say the minimum hit distance is that, and the primary ledge is valid is true. Now we're gonna say, well, if our priority is any, right, or the primary ledge is not valid, right, then we're gonna check for the secondary ledge. If our priority is above or whatever, because we've already swapped them around, right? If our priority is above or below, wherever it is, that means the primary ledge is our priority thing. We should take that. So we don't want to do that. So that means it's gonna be above. So we won't do that. Then we say, well, but what if the other one isn't valid? We should still look for it. Okay, well, if it's not any and it is valid, then you should ignore the secondary ledge. Yeah. And that way, yeah, that's much cleaner. That's much cleaner. That's a much better way of doing it. Whatever crap I was gonna do. All right, cool. What doesn't it like? Oh yeah. Primary. Secondary out edge. Oh, it's a lot cleaner. That's a hell of a lot cleaner. Do we switch on the ledge priority? Do whatever we got to do. Yada 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 yada. Cool. And that's for each. Yeah, that's for each ledge. Yeah, each trace. Okay, this might work. Might not. We'll see. With builds, I'm happy, basically. Yeah, we're using Unreal. Hey, yeah, we're using Unreal Engine. Yeah, I mean, you'd be rare find any big game, like large game, made in purely blueprints. they don't scale well. Um, you can't really. It's you can't work in teams on things. So like blueprints don't merge, so just two programmers can't work on the same file. You'll just get a bunch of conflict. So say all the code I'm writing here, right? I can write a bunch of code here, like I'm doing today. Dado can write a bunch of code in his file. If there's no clashes, it will just run. Otherwise, GitHub, for example, will throw up merge, so you can actually see the head, which is the most recent, what's been checked in latest, and then your changes, and then resolve those conflicts. Whereas blueprints, you just can't do that. So it's for programmers, it's near enough impossible to actually work together. I mean, we struggle when like just artists and programmers like mingled in that sense. So say someone changes the UI thing in Blueprint, and then you want to change the UI in Blueprint, it's just an immediate like collapse, basically, of what you want to do. So yeah, it's a bit of a nightmare in that sense. So yeah, so at scale, it's near enough impossible to do, basically. Um, doesn't give you the same level of control. There's a lot of things that you'd like to do in like Blueprint simplifies a lot of stuff, but in terms of actually like architecture in your systems, it's nowhere near as like robust as C++ can be. And it's also like, how do I put it? Like it's a lot quick. Fundamentally, it's like it's a lot quicker to do things like easy stuff, but the way you structure it and stuff, it can make it look messy. Like Blueprint, you can drag like a node across, right? And visually it looks like that's not doing anything, but that could actually break like fundamental principles of how you architecture it. In C++, that just won't work. Like you'll get thrown errors. Like yeah. So do you see what I mean? So like two of you working on one thing is an absolute night. You have to it's frankly it's actually impossible. I don't even know how anyone would make a game. Like one person can for sure. If it's just one person, you could probably make a game in Blueprint. Probably can 100%. Two people, no chance. It just stops immediately. Like let's pretty much zero turns a team of three of us, and we still have Blueprint conflicts, and we're primarily code. We're like so if we change like the character Blueprint, so we do a lot of stuff modular, so we do like a lot of component stuff. So if you look in here, so if you look in here, you see we've got like pause menu, session marker, character movement, scoring, mission, trajectory, ragdoll. These are all components. So you can like add them in, right? And all the logic is isolated to that component. But some of these stuff, like one or two, they have Blueprint elements. So this player character Blueprint, if I add a component here, right, that will make a change. So I mean, how can I say that? So here nothing's changed, right? If I do this, let me just show you. Print. Just a debug thing, right? And I say view. Just this tiny thing here creates a change to that U asset. I've done hardly anything. Like this, the person that gets it could just delete it. I'm pretty sure. Would that actually clear it? It doesn't. So I've actually fundamentally made no change here, right? Yeah. GitHub is saying I've changed it because I've saved and updated the version I'm using, right? So even though it's exactly the same, I will have a conflict. And now I can know that, my conflict is nothing, so I can just get rid of it. Right? But then say you make like a tweak to a value here, or you make a bunch of changes here, and someone else does the same, it's just physically impossible. And yeah. It's also, I can't work in Blueprint. I can work in Blueprint. I can prototype really quick. Like all these line trace stuff and these traces and stuff, you can get it done so much quicker in Blueprint. Because you just add variables, add functions, it's drag drop, right? You're not too concerned about types because that'll do it for you. But yeah, before you know it, a complex system will turn from like a bit of code here that I can comment quite nicely, to like just a gigantic mess of nodes and wires all connecting, all doing different things with blocks of comments, and it's just a complete but it really is all about what you're doing. Like if you're making like pretty straightforward system and like there's not many people actually using it, in terms of working on it at one time, then you can just do blueprints if you really want to. But yeah, I mean, I'd always just recommend C++ or C# if you're doing it. Like so we're looking at some VR stuff. So we're doing some VR stuff in Unity. Me and Dado have been, but because we do it in C++, Unity C#, right? We're able just to be like, okay, I know how to do it. Just write the code up. It's a bit different. You learn like their naming conventions, but not the naming conventions, and so to speak, like the camel case. I mean, how their libraries and functions and stuff. Like, so like if say for like the vector in this, right? To get the vector library, I'd go f vector, and then you'd be like, whatever I want, right? I got all this stuff here, yada yada yada, all the methods, whatever. But in Unity, it's like vector 3D, and then I'd go capital V. Yeah, Unity is like vector 3D, yada yada yada. Or it was actually vector 3D dot whatever I want to do. So it's a little bit different there. That's the learning curve, really. But yeah, that was my take on the two. I think it just worked. I was wanted to say that I think it just actually just worked. It looks as though it did. Can't jump off things anymore. But you can jump off that because you didn't find anything. But yeah, now we actually have. I mean, let me get rid of that trace. We should see. We should now see that we find ledges up, we find ledges down, and what I've also done is the new system I just added. Although this is again the thing with like game dev code. You spend time doing things that no one actually sees or cares about. We'll know, but like yeah, we spent like 20 minutes not really, like 5-10 minutes adding this priority system, which in the long run will be actually quite useful. So now we can set the priority of what the find ledge should look for. So if I'm saying prioritize things above you, it will do. If I'm saying prioritize things below you, it will do. And it will look for them first. And if it finds one of them, it will take that over whatever else it wants to do. So that is. Oh, I didn't even think of that. What if it finds one closer? Because that priority, oh my god, that priority system is only useful per like single thing, per like thing we trace. We never really find them at the same time. Oh, I didn't even think of that. Because I'm like, because then what we'll just do is the next one up or below will just overwrite the priority because it'll be closer. So you may find one there below. I guess it kind of still makes sense having, because the priority will be if I find a ledge going out and coming back to myself in the same trace. I want to prioritize one over the other. I want to prioritize going out then coming back. Issue there, obviously, is that yeah, it's a bit redundant because I could just go up one step, not find that one, find this one, that one's closer, take that one. I don't know, I kind of thought about that. I just thought about that. It makes no sense. Hey, Crowdfund, man, how you doing? Yeah, they're object-oriented languages, yeah. I've been going through this book here. I say I've been going through. I bought it. I literally I have not opened it, but it is the C++ primer by Stanley Lippman, Jose Lajoy, and Barbara Emu. I bought it because I want to keep learning, always keep learning. And I haven't been through it once, but I'm gonna start going through it this week. And yeah, just I want to by the end of next month I've gone through this book. It's a very long book. I think it's like over like it's about 1,000 pages. But I wanted to try and do like 10 pages, 10, 20, 30 pages a day. Just sit down for an hour, some in the evening, whenever, and just try and do some of that. This actual priority system was a bit of a waste of time. I'm actually thinking about it now, and it was a complete waste of time. Because it's not a waste of time, it's the right concept. I'm thinking the implementation of it makes no sense because, yeah, very stupid. I might leave it, but no, because it still works. But the implementation of it actually makes no sense because the next step up is just going to completely prioritize that, I think. Oh, God, that's so annoying. What it should be is that with the priority, if it's above, right, then we look at the things like if okay, it may have less distance, but if it's above it, take it. That should be. Oh, so annoying. I didn't even think of that. That's what I should have done. All right, I've got a meeting in 3 minutes, so I'm gonna grab a drink. All right, guys, I'm gonna kill the stream here. I'm gonna come back after and do that priority thing. Well, we have the ledge trace going anyway. We have that working just fine. It finds the ledges, so it finds the ledges up, ledges down. So we have our ledge point, so which is nice. Now we just need to move over to the climbing interface of the advanced locomotion manager, and we there need to be like, can I do a climb down? So check the ground below, how far is it? Once we've got all that data, then we transition to the animation side and be like, what animation can we do? Yada yada yada. Then we do the warping bit, see okay, how do we adjust the route to match it perfectly? Then we go to how do I trigger it from inputs, and then we should hopefully have descent. That's for the rest of today. But yeah,